An undercover operation targeting child sex predators in the Las Vegas Valley over 2 weeks resulted in the arrest of 8 individuals, according to a release from the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. The individuals arrested are David Wanacott Yankee, 40, Tom Artyom Alexandrovich, 38, Jose Alberto Perez Torres, 35, Aniket Brajesh Kumar Sadani, 23, James Ramon Reddick, 23, Ramon Manuel Para Valenzuela, 29, Neil Harrison Creasy, 46, John Charles Duncan, 49. Each face charges of luring a child with a computer for a sex act. And then what makes this really, really funny is that this Tom Artyom Alexandrovich guy, the executive director of Israel's National Cyber Directorate, was arrested this week in Las Vegas in a child predator ring sting. This guy works directly under Netanyahu, so of course he was allowed to go back to Israel. And they have his LinkedIn page here. Tom Alexandrovich, executive director at Israeli National Cyber Directorate, building national cybersecurity, AI for defense, blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Cybersecurity leader, executive, and architect of national security cyber defense programs, including designing and building Israel's Cyber Dome program, a national program based on big data and AI to defend civilian cyberspace. I specialize in building high-performing teams, developing national cyber strategies, and protecting critical infrastructure and democratic institutions from sophisticated APT threats. He had a passion for evading cyber detection. Understand the hiring now. Those arrested: Tom Artyom Alexandrovich, 38. They all face felony charges of luring a child with a computer for a sex act and were booked into the Henderson Detention Center. U.S. detains worker from Israel's top cyber defense agency for questioning. Prime Minister's office has incident resolved quickly, ending with brief questioning of National Cyber Directorate staffer before his release and return to Israel. That's really weird. That's really weird. And we have an article here. Israeli government official arrested in Nevada in internet crimes against children sting. Israeli government cybersecurity official was reportedly arrested recently by Las Vegas police and other authorities in Nevada who are conducting an undercover investigation aimed at online users seeking to sexually prey on children. Now, you know what would be really fucking interesting? What would be really interesting is that if he was actually here undercover following an international, sex crime ring, right? And so he was part of an undercover operation with them. And now that he's being posted in every single online newspaper ever, he quite literally cannot ever do another undercover operation. It would be really funny if that was the case. Tom Artyom Alexandrovich, 38, faces felony charges of luring a child with a computer sex act. With a computer for a sex act, alongside several other suspects who were apprehended during the 2-week sting operation. The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department said in a statement published on Friday. He has since been released from custody on $10,000 bail after an initial court appearance, records show, and returned to Israel. Can I just say that if you get arrested for felony charges of luring a child, why the fuck is the bail only $10,000? That seems rather low. That seems rather why isn't the bail $0 and he just doesn't have that option? I'm a little confused. As first reported by the news site Mediaite, a publicly posted screenshot of Alexandrovich's page on the LinkedIn professional networking platform described him as the executive director of the Israel Cyber Directorate, an Israeli government agency under the purview of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office. Other information online attributes the same position to Alexandrovich. The screenshot first reported to Mediaite also shows a post under Alexandrovich's name, alluding to his having been in Las Vegas earlier in August for the Black Hat Briefings, a yearly meeting of cybersecurity professionals. 2 things you can't escape at Black Hat 2025. The relentless buzz of generative artificial intelligence and the sound of Hebrew in every corridor. Alexandrovich wrote in part in an accompanying post, invoking an abbreviation for large language models and referring to one of Israel's largest cities. The post continued, the key takeaway, the future of cybersecurity is being written in code, and it seems a significant part of it is being authored in Tel Aviv and powered by LLMs. An exciting time to be in the field. Wonder if pirate software was there. Jesus. The Israeli news outlet Ynet reported on Wednesday that the U.S. had detained an employee of the Israel National Cyber Directorate for interrogation while he was representing his country at a professional conference. That employee then returned to his hotel and flew back to Israel 2 days later. Israeli officials downplayed the incident, saying it carried no political implications and was resolved quickly, Ynet reported, without naming Alexandrovich or mentioning he had been arrested in connection with a felony charge leveled against him by Nevada law enforcement officials. The reasons for the questioning remain unclear, but may relate to the employee's conduct. What a weird way to phrase that. Ynet reported early on Saturday evening, U.S. Eastern Time, that Alexandrovich was on leave from the Cyber Directorate by mutual decision. Okay, well, I think there's no room for maybe he was undercover after that. They wouldn't place him on leave if he was possibly, on an undercover mission kind of thing. So yeah, he definitely just got arrested for that. The outlet also said that the Cyber Directorate claimed the earlier information about Alexandrovich was accurate based on what had been provided to the agency. Mediaite reported that Netanyahu's office issued a statement denying that the employee in question had even been arrested. How do they report that the guy that got arrested is on leave from his job and then issue a statement saying, yeah, he'd never been arrested, actually? Like, what? Government puts little value on children, so they don't really care about child protection, just internet censorship? Very true. I mean, we talked about that yesterday when we were going over the Roblox stuff, and it's like, man, that's really weird that all this Roblox stuff is happening at the same exact time as them trying to add Real ID everywhere, huh? Man, that's really weird timing. A state employee who traveled to the U.S. for professional matters was questioned by American authorities during his stay, the Prime Minister's office said. The employee, who does not hold a diplomatic visa, was not arrested and returned to Israel as scheduled. Nevada's Internet Crime Against Children Task Force helmed the operation, which resulted in the arrest of Alexandrovich and 7 other men in the city of Henderson, which is near Las Vegas. All of the suspects believed they were meeting minors when undercover officers instead confronted and arrested them. The arrested men were all brought to jail after being taken into custody, said the statement from the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, which participated in the operation alongside local, state, and federal law enforcement officials. Among the other suspects was Las Vegas Redemption Church pastor Neil Harrison Creasy, 46, the local CBS affiliate reported. Damn. A church official told the station that Creasy resigned shortly after being released from jail on a $10,000 bond. How do you get $10,000 bond for luring children with a computer for sex? That doesn't make sense to me, man. Under Nevada law, luring a child with a computer for a sex act can carry between 1 and 10 years in prison. That's kind of nuts. That is kind of nuts. Your bail was $5,000 for shifting traffic cones a few feet to the side. Luring children is only twice as bad, I guess. Well, an arrest can be voided after the fact, so it is like it never happened. But why would we do that for someone who did attempt a crime against a child, right? Like, why? Why? Phoenix DS, thank you for the Canadians. Where was Chris Hansen in all of this for a have a seat special, right? Right? Funny how everything syncs up. It really is. It really is funny. The U.S. Border Patrol agents make arrest outside Gavin Newsom's anti-Trump rally. Since we won't have politicians who will do that, we do it ourselves, said Border Patrol Chief Gregory Bovino. That's incredibly hilarious. Literally anti-Trump rally, and who's doing it? Illegals. Get them out, man. Fuck off, we're full. U.S. Border Patrol agents had a strong presence outside an anti-Trump rally by California Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom in Los Angeles on Thursday. The agents made at least 1 arrest. Newsom, who is rumored to have presidential aspirations and has become one of the most outspoken critics of President Donald Trump, held the event, which he labeled Liberation Day. What a narcissist. To announce plans to respond to the GOP's redistricting push in Texas. In a social media post shortly before the rally, Newsom predicted that Donald Trump and Texas Governor Greg Abbott are going to have a very bad day today. Video taken by local affiliate Fox 11 and obtained by Fox News showed what appeared to be over a dozen armed and masked Border Patrol agents just outside the rally. The agents could be seen leading a man away in handcuffs as onlookers shouted angrily. Leading with Fox 11, Border Patrol Chief Gregory Bovino explained, "We're here making Los Angeles a safer place. Since we won't have politicians who will do that, we do that ourselves. And that's why we're here today. As you can see, already making it a safer place." The Border Patrol chief added, "We're glad to be here, not going anywhere." Asked what his message to Newsom was, Bovino answered, "Again, we're making Los Angeles a safer place, and we're going to continue to do that. They can take that one to the bank and cash it." What a silly phrase. In response to the federal agent's presence, Newsom's office emailed Fox News Digital a statement in all cap letters. "We will not be intimidated by weak little Donald Trump, the criminal president." During the event, Newsom's press team posted on X that Trump's private army is illegally on private property. During his remarks, Newsom acknowledged the federal agent, saying, "Right outside at this exact moment are dozens and dozens of ICE agents." Can I just ask, what goes through people's heads when they see Newsom talking like this and basically being like, "I don't want to uphold immigration laws of this country. I want this to be a dangerous free-for-all." Like, how do people think that that's okay and won't affect them, right? Like, I don't understand that mindset. "Do you think it's coincidental?" he remarked. "Donald Trump and his minions, Tom Homan, tough guy, decided, coincidentally or not, that this was a location to advance ICE arrests. Indiscriminate? Perhaps. We'll find out later." What the fuck does he mean by any of that? Doesn't anyone? Like, anyone knows that California has a high number of illegals living in it. So it's not a coincidence. It's just like, oh, we're probably going to catch some illegals if we go to this area. That's just common sense, man. Wake up, America.
Wake the fuck up, samurai. We have a city to burn.
Wake up! This is a serious moment. Wake up to what's going on. Wake up to the fear and anxiety. Wake up to what's happening, not just here in Los Angeles, where we saw our streets militarized, where we saw our due process rights thrown out the window, he said. That's Trump's America. That's the moment we're living in. So these are sober times. Yeah, no, not really. If you're here illegally, you don't have rights to due process. And like, if you somehow fucking do, you shouldn't. In my opinion. Your due process when you're illegally here is get the fuck out. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. ADL CEO Jonathan Greenblatt laments that intermarriage rates are continuing to rise among Jews. Turns out his anti-racist shtick only goes so far. Damn, that's interesting.
Is it your sense that Jewish people are getting complacent, that they're not engaging to degrees and levels we should be?
I have met a lot of October 8th Jews for whom the massacre on October 7th was a wake-up call. I've met a lot of people who feel much more galvanized, much more organized. But that will only be sustained if we offer them, ways to participate in a real and robust way in Jewish life.
Mm-hmm. And whose responsibility is that? In essence?
All of ours. Yeah. But this is why we need a revolution in our community on so many levels. So look, the reality is that intermarriage rates continue to go up. Assimilation continues apace. And look, I fight anti-Semitism. That is my job.
Right.
But I worry a great deal about broader questions of Jewish identity, as I think we talked about over lunch.
That's really weird that you're talking about intermarriage rates continuing to rise and how that might be a problem. Damn, that's really strange. This anti-racist ADL CEO Jonathan Greenblatt laments rising intermarriage rates among Jews. The ADL is the leading anti-racist and anti-hate group in the country, decries opposition to intermarriage on their website, and even has an entire curriculum for American school children encouraging intermarriage titled "Winning the Right to Marry: Historic Parallels." The case for loving, the fight for interracial marriage, ADL hate symbol, no race mixing, hate on display. But yeah, white supremacists fear and hate the concept of multiracial couples, relationships, or families, believing that such relationships pollute the pure white race. Evidently, the ADL's vocal support for intermarriage doesn't apply to Jews. That is a very interesting thing for this guy to say publicly. That's very interesting. This fucking bitch. This fucking retard. She did an interview in Italy, the Tati Gabrielle. She's that fucking bald chick in that one video game, the Intergalactic thing coming out. I can't even remember it. I covered it before ages ago. And she says something quite similar to it. I'm gonna speed this up. If I can see if I can understand this sped up at like 1.5 times speed. Is this the Gollum chick? Yeah, she's the one that, like, they made that image of, like, her and Siri sipping incel tears or some shit. I don't know, it was really fucking dumb. The one who doesn't know how a razor works. Oh god, this will be horrible. Yeah, I skipped the first, like, 2.5 minutes or so, because it was just them talking about Italy and some other random shit. But then she starts talking about, I don't even know what the fuck is happening.
When tendencies are so frequent, how important is it for serious young people the tools to recognize a toxic relationship?
I think it's the most important. I think I have always said or always felt, and it's something that I carry with me in my work, that Hollywood and from filmmaking to series has an incredible responsibility to reflect the world back at itself.
Why does Hollywood and, like, fictional series have a responsibility to reflect the world back on itself? What a weird fucking thing to say. Can't fiction just be fun? Can it just be imaginative and interesting instead of reflecting the world back at itself? Why does it need to be that?
Teach us, to tell us, to remind us where we've been, to let us know where we should go.
If you're watching, like, Star Wars and Harry Potter and you're using it as a blueprint of where we should go, I don't know. I think maybe you might have brain damage.
Yeah, I think it's so important for, and no matter if you're making something that is fun and sort of silly and, you know, a comedy piece or very much so, especially with drama, that young people, I think today more than ever, get taught by the internet, get taught by TV and film. And so you're handling very precious minds.
You're handling very precious minds, and thus we must inject our propaganda so that we can shape those minds early. That's our responsibility as the arbiters of what is true and real. And this is why we are going to win the cultural revolution, is what she's thinking.
Way, particularly when it comes to, like, healthy relationships and especially, say, at home they didn't have an example of that, whether from their parents or their family members. Even more so, do you need to take the responsibility to go, this is what can happen and this is what should not be. I think too, particularly with you, I know Penn really made...
I don't know, I don't really want my fictional media telling me this is what should not be. You know, like, you can have the diametrically, like, this is an evil person with no gray area because he's, like, murdering people, right? Like, that makes sense, right? You shouldn't murder people. But I don't want my media constantly preaching at me if I'm watching it to relax, man.
Some statements to try to, when people are like, oh, we love Joe, like, women were like, we love Joe, he can stalk me any day, and he would really try to drive home in interviews, like, no, we are showing that Joe is not the guy, so to pay attention, to be aware, to not fall in love with false promises, to know one's worth as a woman, and I think too for young men, to teach them that yes, it is, of course, fall in love with the girl, but treat her with respect, treat her with love. You should...
Why is it that girls need to know their worth, but boys need to know how to treat a girl? Why do boys not need to know what their worth is? Why is it not the same for both? Why is that? It really gets that noggin jogging, buddy.
Women should do the same for their men. Treat them with love, treat them with respect.
Okay. At least she says it.
There is not one without the other. Men and women, we need each other to create.
I will give her that one. She at least said treat the men with love and respect. I'll give it to her, chat. She says one correct thing.
We both have very, very powerful strengths, and those are to be celebrated.
As a young woman, you struggle with anxiety. Was acting therapeutic for you, and how important was the 100 in that journey?
You said was acting therapeutic for me, and was the 100 a big part of that journey? Yes. So yeah, I deal with anxiety, really bad anxiety, all the time. And yeah, no, acting I think has been incredibly therapeutic for me. It's given me I think through my characters, very much I give...
As someone with crippling anxiety, I don't know how you go from having anxiety to having as massive of an ego as this woman does. Like, I am constantly worried that I will get too egotistical. And it's like a constant, I hope that doesn't happen to me, I need to keep myself in check. And so, like, I don't understand how someone who acts like this creature can talk about having anxiety.
Them their own lives and their own story, but I think that I'm able to work out some emotions and feelings through them, which is and explore things that I may not have been able to tap into otherwise. And the 100 actually, because it was my first thing, it was the first sort of go at that sort of therapeutic process. It was a huge part of it, and figuring out how to, I think, where to release certain things of myself and where to hold them for other things, if that makes sense.
No, it doesn't.
So yeah.
were you hurt by the controversies around Intergalactic?
Yeah, I was, to be honest. It's sad to see that, you know, video games, I think even more than TV and film, you have so much more world to play with the imagination, and we can demonstrate what the world can be in ways and world.
Combined with what she said earlier about how they're holding precious minds and they need to be the ones who are dictating what's not okay and what can be possible, and then also saying video games provides more of a canvas for that than movies or literature, that should be a red flag for literally everyone watching this. This is activist language in action.
That we would never dream of. And so to know that there was so much hatred, and so much backlash, it was hurtful. But at the same time, it was empowering for me to be able to go, okay, well, one, okay, this is where the world's at. And I think in order to change the world, you have to meet it where it's at. And two, to go 10 times harder than what it is that I'm doing. I don't, like I said, Marianne taught me how to not back down for anyone in anything. So in that way.
That's true. If people are saying what you're doing is shitty, it's not to be like, oh, maybe what I'm doing is shitty. It's to double down and say, no, they are the problem.
Yeah, no, I took the hurt, I swallowed it, and I turned it into fire. So yeah, and I feel like those same people that were hating are gonna play that game, and guess what? They're gonna love it. So they can be mad. Yeah.
And those dumb gamers, they're gonna buy the sloppa anyways, even if they're mad at me. And you know what? You know what the worst part is? She's fucking right. She's right that a lot of people are going to buy the sloppa. And it's not going to be necessarily the people who are angry. There's going to be some of those who are going to buy it if they have a large audience and they can be like, I'm going to buy this so you don't have to. So it's going to save thousands of people a sale while they watch one person play it. I can kind of get that, right? But there's a reason that all of these movies and all of these games that are hideous sloppa that use either an older IP or a starting point that interests a lot of people, like intergalactic space travel and the struggles within that kind of a universe. There's a reason those still sell, and it's because a lot of normies will buy the sloppa regardless of what the opinions of the actors are. The actor could literally be like, I would like to genocide all of you people, and they would still buy the game, because that's just how normies operate. They don't care about what the people behind the characters say. They will buy it anyway. What game is she talking about? It's Intergalactic something. The fact that none of us remember it off the top of our head shows how shit the game is. Yeah, I don't expect most people here to buy it. I don't expect most people I know to buy it, but I expect normies will buy the fuck out of this game. You know, the people who like have the Xbox still hooked up to their TV in their bedroom and they just buy like the same iteration of sloppa every couple of years when they remake it. It's like built for these people. Do you remember Asmon's reaction to it during the big announcement thing? The suffering of generations must be endured to achieve our divine end. Ancient Sumerian scripture, 1986. You think this was the game that had the entire plot leaked? Maybe? I don't remember. Try to bait you with the 80s style anime, bro. The premise of the game looks so good. It does, and that's why I was saying, like, a lot of people are gonna buy this anyways. Because they're not going to pay attention to how pretentious and hateful the actress is. They're going to pay attention to, like, this game looks like it could be interesting. And that's how she's going to keep getting roles as well. Because people are going to buy the sloppa regardless of what the people in the game are. And this is also partially why I think we should stop using so many people as in-game characters. I think it's really cool to use people as motion capture to do the actions of the character. But I want to stop seeing literal one-for-one transplants of voice actors or actors into games. It was really cool when Judgment did it, but they weren't pretentious and the actor isn't an asshole. So wow, imagine that working.
And so am I, so claim him, or I will.
This is so hard to listen to. I feel bored, man. You have a high feeling it'll be dead on arrival? I don't really want to watch the rest of this. You guys get the point. I don't really want to watch the rest of it. You get the point. But her interview where she's saying, you know, they're going to buy it anyway. This is what a lot of companies count on and why they can keep pushing like ridiculous actors and actresses who are incredibly full of themselves. They can keep pushing propaganda. They can keep pushing all this Marxist garbage in our games that we don't want. When they make something like Dustborn that is entirely obviously that, it fails. It fails immediately. This one has an interesting premise, so it's a lot harder to detect, much like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. When they shoved in a lot of stuff, when the developer ended up lying to people about not being coerced to put this stuff in his game, when he went back on what he said after he made the first game, and now he's beholden to those stakeholders, a lot of people wanted to deny the fact that the Slappa was there because the game was kind of fun to play. And it's like, it might be fun to play, but if you're going to buy the tiny Slappa, you're going to get more Slappa later on, and eventually everyone's going to realize, hey, we can put this Slappa in and not have to worry about people not buying our products.